Okay, so we have discussed the Ethereum smart contract and some examples. And in the afternoon class, uh, the speaker will tell you how to install, how to run, and with some examples, some smart contract examples, he will tell you how the smart contracts are executed. Okay, so now in the second part of this one, I will discuss the fallback function. Because of this fallback function, only the DAO attack was there. Okay, this was the weakness in the in this Solidity language. So they kept fallback function. So these kind of things is not there in other languages like C++, Java. This fallback function is not there. So let's see what is the fallback function. So in Solidity, fallback function is declared without any name. Okay, the name will not be there. This function cannot have any argument and cannot return anything. So that is the fallback function. Contract can have exactly one unnamed function. Exactly one unnamed function. It is executed. So now, if there is no name on that function, then how it is executed? Okay, let's see. It is executed on a call to the contract if none of the other functions match the given function identifier. Then this unnamed function will be called. Suppose we have functions like in the contract we have three functions A, B, C. Okay, and now I want to call this contract, and I have called like contract and with function name D, and the D is not there in this contract. So in that case, this fallback function will be executed. Okay, that's it. So why they have kept this one? This function is executed whenever the contract receives the plain ether without data. Then it will be executed. Additionally, in order to receive the ether, the fallback function must be marked payable. So in the fallback function, it has to return payable. Then only it can receive the ether. So it is used to receive the ether. Okay, so someone has transferred the money to the contract, and then through this fallback function, one can receive the money. That is also one has to write the payable. Okay, if no such function exists, the contract cannot receive ether through regular transactions. Okay, so otherwise it cannot receive the ether through regular transactions. Okay. So the purpose is to receive the ether. Okay. Now, in the worst case, the fallback function can only rely on 2300 gas. So if you want to execute this fallback function, one has to keep 2300 gas, leaving not much room to perform other operations except so only to receive the ether. No other code is there inside the fallback function. Then it requires 2003 maximum 2300 gas. Okay, so if there is no code inside the fallback function. Okay, so like any function can execute complex operations as long as there is enough gas. So in the fallback function, you can have some complex operation also. Okay, but for that you have to give extra gas. So only to receive the money through this fallback function, it requires this function. If you want to include some code inside that will be for extra gas. Okay. So let's take one example. Let's say this contract C is there, and we have contract D. Two contract. Now this contract C wants to send an ether to contract D. Okay, to this address D. Okay, so the function pay is there, unsigned integer and an ether. He wants to send it to the contract D. And we know that the fallback function, the gas requirement for fallback function is 2300. Okay, now this one. Now do is sending the an ether to D, and D contract is like this one. If you return contract D like this one, contract D1, public count 0, and this is the contract. This is the fallback function. There is no name. Only the function name is not there. This has to write, one has to write. There is no name, and then it is payable. Now, if he writes some code here, count plus plus, and he has kept only 2,300 gas, that is required to execute only the fallback function, not without this line of code. Okay, so what will happen? You will send it here, and he has kept only 2,300 gas, and it will come here, and it will go, and but this requires extra cost, extra gas. So in between, it will fail because of out of gas exception. It's not sufficient gas. So 2,300 only without this one. So if you add this one, you have to add more gas. Okay, so this will not be executed. This will not be executed. Okay. Now instead of this, if instead of this code contract D1, if he has written this code, now this then in this code the money will be transferred. So now let's say D's code is this one, and now he has kept only function public payable, and there is no code inside this. For that, 2,300 gas will be sufficient. Okay, 2,300 gas will be sufficient, and it will succeed. So the money will be transferred from the contract C to contract D. Okay, so this will be clear. And if you want to write some code, you have to assign more gas. Okay, that you have to do. So this is the importance of gas. Okay, so now we'll see the follower functions we have discussed. Now we'll see the DAO attack, famous DAO attack, the major, till now the major attack on the Ethereum blockchain. Okay, what is DAO? DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and created by the Slope.it, the company. Okay, it was a virtual venture capital fund that is governed by the investor of the DAO. So the idea was basically to collect the fund, collect the money from the investor, which will be pooled in the token folders. Okay, which are pooled. So collect the money from the investor, and then spend this money to fund the startups. Okay, and that startups will be selected by the investors through voting. Okay, so this was the idea. So get the money from the public, from the investor, and to fund the startups. And which startups will be funded, that will be decided by the voting. Okay, so this was launched in 30th April 2016, and it was able to raise $150 million before being attacked. This much money was raised. Okay. And after, you see, 30th April, you see May, June, or what happened within attack and siphoned 1/3 of the money. $60 was siphoned by the attacker. This is the DAO. Okay, so how it happened? So let's see technical things. So the problem in the Ethereum smart contracts was reentrancy, and that reentrancy was due to fallback function. Okay, so what is reentrancy? Because of fallback function, the attacker was able to re-enter the caller function. You can, caller is calling something, you call some function, and again you can re-enter that. That is called reentrancy. So let's see one example. What is the meaning of re-enter? So let's say this is the contract Bob. Okay, so this is the contract. So what it's doing is there is a Boolean function set false. Then we have this function ping. Okay, it is transferring the money to the contract C. This ping function is transferring the money to the contract function C, and that is, if sent is false, so it will be true. and then it will transfer money to Ether to the C by this call function. So you already seen call function is used to transfer the Ether, call, transfer, and send. Okay, and once it is transferred, then it will make the send equal to true. Once the send equal to true, after that this function will not be called. So it's basically this contract Bob, this is written to transfer the money only one time. That's why he has given this send equal to true. Okay, so if something is false, you can transfer one time, the next time it will be true, so then it can transfer. Okay. Okay, so now, and the transfer, the contract C is this one. This is contract C. And contract C, so this will transfer the money, and you see, so once you this one, and here you have this follow function without name. Function, there is no name. So money will be transferred here. So there is no function like call. So there is no, when the follow function is executed, when there is no function of name call. Okay, so in that case, this will be executed, and this function will be executed, and when the function is executed, it will come to this side. So money is transferred. So only thing is it has to keep sufficient Ether. So 2300 will not be sufficient because it is executing one more line of code here. So now you can see here this part comes inside. So what is the code? This contract has written here. Bob message sender dot ping. So it will call again. Bob is this one. The message sender will go here, Bob, and from here, see, from here it went here, transferred, and it is not money is transferred, and inside this follow function, one line of code he has written. That code again is calling to this contract Bob. Okay, and this Bob again, you see, sent is not made true, so it will calling again this ping function. Okay, this code is there, it will call ping function, and this with this address C. Okay, address C, and sent is not true. From here it didn't go here, come back, come here again, sent will not be, sent is still false, so again it will call here, come here, again it will go there. So this is called reentrance. One loop is coming up, so again and again it is transferring the money. Okay, is clear? This part is clear? Any doubt? So if this is clear, then DAO attack is simple. After that, nothing is there. So this is what is happening in the DAO attack. Okay, so the funds, that contract C is transferring the money to contract this contract B. Bob is transferring the money contract C, and contract C here, the one inside the follow function, one line of code is there, which is calling this function again. Okay, and till now the sent is not made true, so sent is false. This will be true. It will go again here. Again it will call back this one. Again it will go. Money is transferred, $2 will transfer to Ether, and again this will be called. Again it will. So this is like this. This will continue. This is called reentrance. Is clear? Any doubt to this point? Okay. Now DAO attack, we see DAO code. Okay. So this code is simplified one. The real code will be bigger, but this is the simplified code of the DAO code. So what they have done is, anyone can donate the money, and in their address the money will be stored. Okay, and whenever the person wants, they are given the facility to withdraw also. Suppose I have donated 10 Ether, so tomorrow I can also withdraw 2 Ether, 1 Ether. I can withdraw 10 Ether also. That the withdrawing facility also they are given. Okay, so let's see. So this is the code to donate the money. Okay, so this address and amount, the money in that address. Okay, so let's say I want to donate. Okay, so function donate, I have to click this function, and money I'm donating the value, message value. So starting the, and this is my address, to address. Okay, so the money will be credited to my address. Clear? So this is the donation. This is the donation. Clear? And that money will be credited to my address. And I want to know how much money is there in my address. That also I can know by calling this, clicking this query credit. It will give you the credit to this address. Okay, so I have donated the money. This to donate the money. Now suppose I want to withdraw some money. Okay, so this is the code. Withdraw amount, and if the credit in that my account is more than amount, then only I can withdraw. Then I can withdraw. So then what they'll do, they will send the money to my account. Call, this is the function through which one can send the money. As you have seen, call file. Call.value, the amount, they will send it. And after that, they will decrement the total amount. Okay, so the whatever amount I have withdrawn, that will be subtracted. Is equal to minus, this is the minus, may not be visible. So the amount, the credit in my address will be total amount minus the amount which I have withdrawn. So this is a dog code, simple, simplified way. Okay, so I can donate the money and then I can withdraw also. This was there. So people were donating the money. So they got $1.5 million within, you didn't say within 1 month, they got this much. Okay. So now what the attacker has done? This was the code. So DAO attack. Okay. So what the attacker has done? Attacker created a contract like this one. Contract Mallory. Okay. This is the owner of the contract, Mallory. And this is the follower function. This is the function, and this is the constructor function. So which will set the owner, whoever has deployed this contract, that person will be the owner. Okay. Now this function is the fallback function. Okay. So as you've seen in the real trace, so he has created the follow function like this way. The money will be transferred into this. Again, payable will be, sorry, payable has to be there. Money will transfer, payable will be there. And then inside he has written this code. Okay. That code, what he is doing? Is calling again this function, withdraw function. Okay. So what is doing? DAO withdraw, DAO query credit. So you will get the credit at that much amount you will withdraw. Whatever amount is there in that in the address of the person, that much you will withdraw. You'll get the query from this much amount, that amount you will withdraw. That is okay. This call is, so he's calling again this function, and amount is getting from the whatever the credit is there in that person's address. Okay, whatever the amount is there. Okay, and then these are this he created, the attack created. So to perform the attack, deploy a contract Mallory shown right. Then what he did first, then he donated some ether for Mallory and invoked the withdraw. So he, on the name of Mallory, then he said this contract has donated some ether to DAO. Okay, so he has donated some money to this DAO. Okay, let's say 5 ether. Okay, So now the Mallory has 5 ether. Okay, 5 ether. Now, once he has donated 5 ether, next time what he'll do, he is withdrawing the same amount. So what he'll do, he will withdraw. He will call the withdraw function, same amount. So you'll write, he'll withdraw, and he will withdraw he will donate it. Next time he will withdraw. So once you withdraw this one, the 5 ether amount is equal to, then you will withdraw 5 ether. So this amount, it is, see, this call function will call to the Mallory contract. This one didn't go here. So from here, it will go to this Mallory, and Mallory, the call functions are not there. So when call functions are not there, it will go to the forward function. Forward function will be executed. And now inside forward function again, what you're doing? He has calling the same thing again. This is again the money will be transferred. 5 ether will be transferred to Mallory's account, and then again it is calling back. Okay. Again it will go in here, coming here, because this is not decremented. Amount is still, it will show the 5. This is not decremented. So it's going here, again coming here. Again it will transfer money, again it will come back. So like this will go on. So this is possible because the amount is not decremented. This code is not executed. Okay. So this is the way DAO attack was possible. So this will continue till there is a money. Till there is a money in the DAO, and it's okay. So till there is a money, it will continue. When the DAO money in the DAO, there is no money, then it will stop. So this is what the attacker has done. So now, so it will go like this one. Mallory fall back. Again, it is calling back withdraw function. Withdraw will withdraw the money. Will go to Mallory fall back again. Withdraw the money again fall back. Like this, it will continue. It will continue till what? The out of gas. So only thing is, if the attacker want to execute this again and again, he has to keep sufficient gas. That is the only expenditure from the attacker side. That you can do because gas is not that much costly. Okay, to execute this one, it is not costly because he is getting the ether again and again. Okay, so that you can keep. You can keep 1 lakh, maybe 1 lakh gas. That will be it will be cheap. Okay, it will not be costly. That is one thing. So he has to keep sufficient gas. Then only it is possible. Then there is a term like stack limit is reached. So that is also very high, around 23, something very, very high number. That is also some, while calling and all these things, stack will be used. So there is a stack limit they have kept. That is very high also. Okay. Third one is the balance of DAO becomes 0. When the balance of DAO becomes 0, then also. So this, because of this one, so they were able to get full money. So balance was about to 0, but somehow they have organizers, they have saved 2/3 of the money. That they have saved because of hard fork. Okay. Is clear this much? Any questions till this point? Okay. Now they would have they have saved the money. They would have withdrawn all the DAO money, but they have saved 2/3 of the money. Only 1/3 was siphoned to this one. They have saved because of hard forking. So I have told you this one, So let's say they started from here. Started from here to withdraw the money. They're withdrawing because that the transaction will be added in blockchain. Come to blockchain. So in this blockchain, some money was withdrawn. Then again, some continuously they are withdrawn. Because one function calling one transaction, another function calling transaction. So they are withdrawing. So till this time, they have withdrawn the all money, complete money. This was $1 million, something like that. But how the organizers they have saved two-third money? What they have created? They were able to create fork here. They kept fork here, hard fork. So somehow they have created fork, and this become longest chain. And so that when this becomes longest chain, these will be discarded. These blocks will be discarded, and it will be like this one. So this was the chain created by the organizer, hard fork. And this way they have saved this two-third money was saved. Two-third money was in this side. That was saved. So only 1/3 was siphoned by the. Okay, this is the way they have saved two-thirds of the money by hard fork. As you see for okay. Okay, thank you. So any doubt from this till this point? So I have completed Ethereum smart contract. So that will be discussed in the next lab section. Lohit will execute some smart contracts, okay, in Ethereum blockchain. So till this point, any doubt, any questions you want to ask?
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Sometime in the earlier session, actually, we were discussing about proof of stack and that. In that, we were having a discussion with you, proof of stack and the proof of work. In the proof of work, you will be giving 5 Ether for the miner, and it will be for the whoever solves the program, that 5 Ether will be given to him.
Yeah.
Okay. In proof of stack, you are telling the attribute mining power to the proportion of the money whoever is holding. That. Can you please compare that once more and tell us?
Yeah, the proof of work. So there is a hash puzzle. Okay. So the puzzle, whoever solves the puzzle, you will have right to add the new block into the blockchain.
Yes, good.
Okay? Yeah. And that for that he will be why the person will do it. So to motivate the nodes to do this one, they will be rewarded 5 Ether. Okay. Yes. This is the case. This is the part.
This is also followed in Bitcoin. Same thing is here also.
Yes, same thing Bitcoin. Only the money will be same thing. Proof of work is same in the both cases. Okay. Now, so proof of stake is not about rewarding money. So what do they think that they are given that? So if you have, let's say you have 1 lakh Bitcoin, okay, 1 lakh Ether. So tomorrow, let's say Ether goes down. So something people lose trust on Ether.
Okay.
So what will happen? The value of Ether will go down. Okay. So you have 1 lakh will be, let's say now 1 Bitcoin is 50,000. Tomorrow it becomes 20,000. You will be the big loser. Okay. So what the thing is, the rationale behind this proof of stake is those who have significant stake in the system, what they will do, they will have economic incentive in keeping the system running according to the protocol. So they will try to make system according to the protocol. Okay. And so because of this one, this proof of stake, what they are doing is they are giving mining rights to the people, those who have stakes in the system.
Okay. Already who are holding 20% or 50%, they can only mine. Not a new person can mine, correct?
Those who have 0, they can't do. If you have 1%, so then you have like this one. So you have, suppose you have those who have 0 stake, they can't mine. So like this one, let's say your 20% is there. So to 20% random number will be here. The 20% random number is there. Okay. Then other person has 15%. So 15% random number will be there. Then I have only 1%. So 1% random number will be there mine.
Okay.
So what they will do? So let's say there 1 lakh random numbers are there. So from 1 lakh random number, they will randomly choose one random number.
Okay.
And whoever's random number will be there, that person will be the mine.
Okay.
Okay. So that those who have 20%, you will have 20% chance to be the mine.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Any questions?
Sir, one more question. You were telling two things: call, transfer, and another one thing.
Send.
In the transfer, it is revertible, and in the send, it is not revertible. In the call, you can revert the back.
No, it is not revertible. Only in transfer it is revertible, and send and call it is not revertible.
Okay. Then why do you have two things? What is the basic difference between send and call?
I don't know that.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
So the structure is different. I don't know where this is used. I don't know why this is that. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, I am Praful. I have one quick question.
Yeah.
In terms of programming, right? So just like we have to include the library at the beginning of the program. So here also we must be required to import some library, right?
Yeah.
And also we would need to compile the program also, right? Would the same process apply here?
Yeah, same process. Some kind compile, some you have to compile. So then you have to run. Basically, here you have to see the next afternoon class. So the function you have to call. Okay, the function, the result of that function, that will be the transaction, and theoretically that is added with the blockchain.
Okay, sir. So means whatever is the value of that value result of that transaction, that will automatically get added to the block, right?
Yeah. That is the transaction. That is the so in the blockchain I told you everything through transaction. So one of the transaction is calling the function. Okay, so the result of that one, that will be the transaction.
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Sir, I'm Ramchandran again. In the first slide, with respect to blockchain, when to use, you are telling about permissionless blockchain and permissioned blockchain. What is the basic difference between permissionless and permission blockchain? I was a bit late, so I don't.
Okay. So permissionless blockchain and permissioned blockchain. So permissionless blockchain, you don't need permission to enter the block and to leave the block. Okay. So you can join the block on your wish. You don't need to permission. You don't need permission. That is called permissionless blockchain, like Bitcoin. So Bitcoin blockchain, you don't need any permission. Okay. And that is one. Permission blockchain, you need permission to join the blockchain. Okay, so the example is Hyperledger. So you'll see the Hyperledger class maybe tomorrow. So that you need permission, and Ethereum can be both.
Ether is permission both.
Both, you can make it both.
Permissionless and also permissioned blockchain.
Yeah, it can be.
Okay, but the block creator is a miner. Whoever is solving is trying to create a block. So that miner should have a permission in Ether, but in Bitcoin, that miner doesn't need a permission. You mean like that?
Yeah. Everyone, any user, not only miner. every user in the permissioned one, if they want to join the blockchain, they need permission.
Okay, then the thing is that then again it is identified. Who is going to use that blockchain is identified. Then anonymity is lost.
Yeah, somewhat it's lost.
It is lost.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, you are telling that in case of Bitcoin, you can have a public key of 5 to 100 public keys, and you can transfer in different things.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if it is going to be a permissioned one, again it is going to be the user is identified, or the transfer person is identified. Correct, sir?
Yeah, this whatever I have told this one, this is only for the Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, so that so Hyperledger, I don't know. Hyperledger I have not used. So there the wallet will be different. I don't know whether they are using similar one. Hopefully they are using similar one, but I am not sure. Okay, so that is Hyperledger.
So,
It
by-
means that in Ethereum also the anonymity is maintained using
Yeah,
that
it's the same
address.
way. Yeah, same way. Ethereum, as I told you, Ethereum also you have same thing. This.
Okay, it is a permissionless blockchain. That's why the anonymous it is maintained in Ether and Bitcoin. But if it is a permissioned blockchain, it will have that anonymity is a bit lost in it.
No, their anonymity may be different way. I don't know the Hyperledger. So in this case, it is not anonymous completely. Would have shown that Ethereum this way they can check who is transferring the money, whose Bitcoin is the address belongs to who. So it is not completely Bitcoin. So these kind of things using addresses and having more than one pair of private key and addresses. These things are in the Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't know how other blockchains they are using.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So
So can you let us know what are the problems while using, suppose we are talking about the security concerns in blockchain. So what are the parameters that are still unsecure in Bitcoin or Ethereum platform?
unsecure.
Means what are the parameters or what the concerns are still required to be, worked upon in these platforms?
Yeah. So see this as you seen this DAO attack. Now is DAO attack because of some problem in the smart contract. Because you see because of follower function how they have done the DAO. Okay. So now it is up to the person who is deploying the. See, this is totally. It is not trusted party. You can also deploy the smart contract. I can also deploy the smart contract.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So only thing is there may be some one who can warn you that yeah these kind of problems may come into the smart contract. Okay, you have to be careful. They can warn you. There are some tools. So some tools which will warn you. They will check the smart contract and they will warn you that yeah you may have these kind of problems. Okay, so those things are there. For example, this DAO attack. Okay, reentrancy kind of things are there. So it is reentering. So there are some tools which will check whether your smart contract are vulnerable for reentrancy kind of things. And there are so many other type of things are there. Okay, so there are some tools now coming up, and there is another research area, and you can build on the tools.
Can you name anyone? I mean, a few of them.
Yes, we have worked on some tools. I forgot the tool. What is that tool? Maybe afternoon class will tell you. The Loic who is using one tool. and I'll tell him to tell the tool. Forgot OINTO, Lohit is there, OINTO 2. OINTO 2. Okay. This OINTO tool. This tool, not only this tool, there are many other tools are there which will check the whether that smart contract has some problem or not. Like one example, they are doing. Let's say you have one simple example is that you have one transaction, okay, and you have this in this transaction you have given the solution of the puzzle, okay, and this puzzle, and you have sent it to the okay. So Lohit will demonstrate the OINTO tool also. Okay, he's telling me. Okay, so this he will. Okay, so he has given the transaction where the things are like he has given the solution also. Now I am watching it. I am clearly watching all the transactions. Okay, so what I do? I saw the solution here, and immediately I created one transaction, same solution. Okay, and send it to the blockchain. If by chance, suppose my transaction is added before this transaction, what will happen? Some kind of attack is there. Okay, so that is also some other kind of attack. Okay, so there are so many other types of attacks are there. So those things the tool will recognize this kind of. Is clear? So maybe we'll in the afternoon time we'll share the one paper is there. One paper is there related to OINTO tool. That paper will give you. So they have mentioned about different type of attacks, and the tool will recognize those attacks. Okay, and then they will warn to the person who is deploying the content. Okay, okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Any queries? Okay. So if there is no queries, then we'll move on to. So from my side, this is the basics we have covered. So now we have time. So okay. So second thing is this. Now just little bit we'll do some the research areas. So one of the research area, obviously one of the things is which just now we have discussed, that to find to warn the person who is deploying the contract, find the faults in the contract, all these things, to improve the tools. That is one area. Okay. So another area is in this part, one of the area research in blockchain technologies. So apply the cryptographic techniques into the blockchain. That is one of the areas. Okay. So you have to study whatever the techniques are there in the cryptography, you apply into the blockchain. That is one of the research areas. In this area, we have done something, and that I'll tell you. Okay. So some techniques we have applied, and first briefly I will discuss those cryptographic techniques, and then you will see how it was used in the blockchain. Okay. So this session is this session is about the just studying some cryptographic techniques and how it is used in the blockchain. So this is one of the area, research area. Okay. This we have already done Bitcoin. This. Yeah, Bitcoin wallet. Okay. So this we are discussing this Bitcoin wallet. So now the problem is one has to store the private key and address in a safe place. Okay, that is there. Basically, a private key. One has to store in a safe place. So if it is lost, already you have seen, then you will not be able to make signature on message M, and then whole money will get waste. Okay, nobody can claim that money. Okay, so this we have to keep in a safe place. So there are so many ways to do that. So one is how to store the wallet. Okay, so this. So one is hot storage, online. You can store in the online side. Cold storage, offline. You can store in the offline secret key and addresses. This is the one way. Okay. Then we have non-deterministic wallet. Non-deterministic wallet basically means the private keys are not related with each other. So we have one private key, the way we are doing the private key address, next private key address, next another private key address. This is called non-deterministic. So these private keys are not related. The addresses are not related. Okay, the addresses are not related. Okay, this one. Then we have deterministic wallet. Okay, deterministic wallet. So deterministic wallet, the private keys are related. They are derived from same source, with the seed kind of things. Okay, so 12 to 24 phrases, so words which easily you can remember. That is the seed. From there you can generate many private keys and many addresses. So these private key addresses are related because their origin is same, their seed is same. Okay, so from this seed, so there are the 12, 24 words which easily you can remember. So you can choose some words which you can remember. From you find the hash, and then you will get the master private key. From the master private key, you can generate many private key and addresses. Okay. Okay. Now this is sequential deterministic wallet. Sequence. Okay. Parveena, this, can you unmute the Parveena? Okay. Again, yeah, Abhishek, can you unmute it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing.
So, okay. So this is deterministic. So deterministic also sequential and hierarchical also. So you can see this is the way. From the phrase you got the master key. This is the seed basically which you can easily remember. Some 12 to 24 words that you can, that will be your basically seed and private key. From there you can develop as this will be master key. We got the master key, and then we will sequentially we will generate the private key and addresses. So this master key equal I equal to 1, hash it, you got one private key, and then from there you can public key, then address. Then another I equal to 2, same master key, hash it, the I is 2, you get another private key. Then for that you can compute address. So this way you can have any number of private key address, and their origin is same. That is 12 to 24 words, which easily you can remember. So these are called deterministic. Okay. So you don't need to remember all these private keys. Okay, just you have to remember 12 to 24, and you run it, you will get all the keys. You can recover all the keys. Okay. Then you have hierarchical deterministic wallet. So you see here in a big organization department, there may be there may be many departments. Maybe 4 departments are there, and departments they need different addresses to get the payment or to pay the sum, to pay the amount, whatever it is. Okay, so department may need, let's say, 5-10 addresses to pay the amount or to receive the money. So that we need hierarchical. So now you see, seed is there, master key we got it. To develop the child key 0, again this is the master key. From there you have, this is the one department. From this department you can have, if you need 4 keys, you can have 4 keys. Same with the previous one. This department, again you need 4 key. So that is what electrical. So you don't need to remember everything, you are just seeing. And then you have, this is the way it is implemented. Okay, so you have parent private key and then public key. Hash, and then you have the number and parent, this chain code is required. And you hash it, you'll get 2 parts. And this one and the parent private key. This is added, and that will be child private key. So you need, so for the child private key, you need, so because this is the parent one, you need first child private key. Okay, that will be I equal to 1, and this left, and this is added. That is the child private key for first one. Okay, and this will be the, for first one, you need also this one, that is this one. So from first one, again, you can create any number of keys. Same way. Okay, it's clear? So this is the master one, public, I equal to 1. This will be there. Find hash, you got this part. And this will be used for the chain code for the first child. That is this one. Next. And then this plus this one will be the private key for the first child. From there, again, you can repeat the same. In the second side, I equal to 2. Okay, so this is the one. This is the way. Okay, so now, thing is, again, you have to store the seed, the master secret key. Okay, and if you lost the master secret key, then everything is lost. All the keys will be lost. Okay, so you will lose all the money. So one of the ways is, so we need some backup for that key. Okay, so base key, master key, okay, so seed. The 12 to 24 words. For that we need the backup. So one of the backup scheme is Samir secret sharing scheme. So we'll see this part, and then this is directly used in the Bitcoin value. Okay, we'll see that. Now, what is Samir secret sharing? So the base idea is, if I give you 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2. So you can tell, you can say the unique line. From these two, there will be the unique line. Only this line will be there. So the line passes through these two. You can tell that, you can define the unique line. If I give you 3 points, 3 points will be sufficient to define the unique parabola. Okay. If you define 4 points, maybe cubic curve. Okay. So it's like this way. So there is a theorem that given k points, if k points are there, okay, there is one and only, or you can say unique polynomial of degree k minus 1. Okay, so let us say x to the power 5 is a polynomial 5x4. Okay, 5 equal to 0. So this polynomial you can derive from 6 points. Okay, so we have k points, k minus 1 degree. So 5 is 6. So from 6 points, they can define the unique polynomial. That is it. So this is used in the Samir secret sharing. So what I'm saying is, if you this is the polynomial, you can find this polynomial if you know the 6 points. The polynomial passes through the 6 points. So if you can find, if you can know the 6 points through which this polynomial passes through, then you can easily compute this polynomial. So if I give you 6 points, x1, y1, x6, y6. Okay, I say this. So let's say there is a unique polynomial through these 6 points. Okay, I give you 6 points. You can easily compute this polynomial. Okay, that's what this theorem. So Samir secret sharing is based on this theorem. Okay, so now let's see what is Samir secret sharing. Okay, so this is the nk. Okay, so the number of shares are n, and only k shares are enough to compute the secret. Okay, so now I have one secret seed. Okay, and from this secret seed, I'll create n shares. N shares. And I have n shares, but if I get k shares, only k shares out of n, I can compute the seed. I can compute the seed. Okay, I can compute the seed. That is called summit secret sharing NK. Is it clear? So the goal is to create n secret shares of the share S such that at least k shares are required to compute the secret S. So this is the summit secret sharing. Okay, so now we'll see how it works. Is it clear? So only k shares will be required to compute the seed. But the n shares are given, but from seed we will compute n shares. So now let's see how. So now let's say my secret is S. My secret is S. So what I'll do, this is my secret. I want to create the shares such that I want to create the n shares such that only k will be enough to compute the S. Okay. So what I'll do, I'm the dealer. So I'll pick a random polynomial of degree k minus 1. Random polynomial means the coefficients are random. Only, and in this one, what I do, the constant part I'll keep as the secret, and rest are random. So since all the coefficients are random except one, this will be random polynomial. Okay, so I constructed the random polynomial this way, but the constant part is the main secret, the seed. Okay, this polynomial I have constructed. Now I have to construct the shares. Okay, so I have to construct the shares. So what I'll do, I just see the intuition behind this one. So the first share will be, I'll give you, let's say your coordinate is x1. Okay, let's say 1 2. We see 1 2 also. So let's say first person is first share, x equal to 1. That will be first share. X equal to 1, one value will be there. For x equal to 1, p1, then p2, then like pn. Okay, pn. So now these are p shares. So what are the p shares? The value of the polynomial at that x value, at x equal to I, whatever it is. The pi equal to x equal to I, the value of the polynomial. These are shares. And these shares, n shares, I'll keep in n places. Maybe this is my seed is S. Okay. From there, I computed random polynomial of degree k minus 1. And what I'll do is, I'll make a shares. I'll compute the shares. And these shares, I'll keep in different places. Maybe this is my seed. And I'll do, let's say I'll do 10, n equal to 10. Okay. And I'll compute these shares, 10 shares. And I'll place these 10 shares in different places. Maybe one I'll keep it in my mobile, and one I'll keep it in my desktop system, and one I'll keep in my house laptop, something like that, and one I'll keep in another mobile, maybe one I'll give to my wife, and some I'll keep into the online places. Okay, so the 10 places I'll keep it. Now from 10 places, if I get, let's say 4, let's say k equal to 4. K equal to 4 means the degree of 3. I'll create a polynomial of degree 3. So if I get the value from the 4 places, I can easily construct the polynomial. That what would do. So now let's say k equal to 4. This is degree 3. This is degree 3. Okay. I'll create this one, n equal to 10. Okay. So now, if I don't know this, I did this for polynomial. After that, I don't know the polynomial. I have after that, I have this polynomial is there, and I have forgot about this polynomial. I destroyed this polynomial. I didn't kept this polynomial. Only I have know that these shares in 10 places. Okay. Now, if I get 4 shares, if 4 shares, let's say P2, I'll get it P4, maybe P5, and P10. Maybe from 10 places, I got the shares. Now, from this P2, I got it. P2, I know the equation is this one. P4, another equation. P5, another. Px is S A1 x plus A2 x square plus A3 x cube. So you have one equation, P2. Okay, P2 you have equation. P2 is equal to x equal to 2. S plus A1 2 plus A2 2 square, A3 2 cube. Then similarly P3, P4, then P5, and then you have P10. So I have got 4 equations. 4 equations, I have 4 unknowns. S, A1, A2, A3. So after 4 equations, 4 unknowns, I can get all these values. And I don't need my seed is S. I need only this one. I don't need this A1, A2, A3. So this is the idea. Is clear? This idea is clear? So this is the idea in the submit secret share. So you create a share, N shares, and out of that you choose K shares, and then the polynomial of degree 3, and the unknowns will be K, and you got K equations. From that equations you can get all the variables. S, we need only S. And then from there you can get the seed. Is clear this part? This is the idea basically same as secret. Is it okay? Okay. So now formally I'll define here. So this Pi equal to Pi modulo P, all the shares, these are shares. Okay. And these N shares are distributed into N participant, or N places you can keep it. Okay. And then you have so it's like if you have 4 shares, 3 K equal to 3. When K equal to 3, the polynomial of degree 2. So fx will be x square plus bx plus c. So what I'll do is I'll keep my shares in the 4 places. This system, mobile, laptop, and this may I keep in online. And this from these 4 places, if I get 3, any 3, I can compute this polynomial, 3 equations, 3 unknowns, and I can get the seed C, the constant term. So I can recover the C. Okay, this is the idea. Now, what I told you that you don't need to solve, since we need only S. We don't need all other variables. That is, we are interested only C. So for that, there is a formula that is called Lagrange interpretation. So directly you can compute the P0. P0 is the constant, that is the C, by this formula. P1 I equal to 1, J equal to H. This from the seed, from the shares, you can compute the polynomial. This is the polynomial. In the polynomial, already know what is the seed. When x equal to 0, constant part. The constant part you can get when x equal to 0. You put x equal to 0, you get a constant part. That is the secret. S. So S is equal to P0, and that comes out to this. And this is you can code it. See, one line code, multiply, you can get the S. If you get the shares, I is H, the K shares, and you multiply this one, this is the okay. So this is the equation. This is the one. S equal to 9, P equal to 41. This one value is K equal to 3. And you have 3, you can create many shares. Okay. And if 3 is, and from 3 shares, you can compute the secret N, secret S. So let's say secret is 9. Secret is 9. Okay. Secret is 9 here. 9. Randomly you choose this variable. This one. From this one, let's say N equal to 7. You compute n 7 shares, 1 P1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 7 shares. Okay, these shares you will get it. And from these shares, if you get 3 shares, only 3 shares, any 3 shares, you can compute n. You can compute secret. Okay, that is that. So secret formula will be there. You just take 3 shares, 1, 3, 7. From 3, apply the formula here. Shares 1, j is the value, minus 3, and 7 is the value. 7, and bottom side I minus j, 1 minus 3. Okay, and 1 minus 7. This is the value. Okay, and then you multiply this one, you get that. Okay, this is one. Yeah, so you minus 3 and minus 7. Then 1 minus 3, 1 minus 7. X1 minus this one, X1 minus. Here, these two. Okay. And then 3 minus 1 and 3 minus 2. Third one, these two. 1, 3. And then 7 minus 1 and 7 minus 3. You got it. Okay. So this is what we have done. So more. So now we'll have break for now 11:50. So 12 o'clock we will meet. Okay. So maybe I'll complete this part. Then it will be. Okay. So the previous seed you can save by submit secret save. Okay. So now sometimes what happens that maybe you think that you may have these kind of things, and this idea was used in the board feeder 24, and they threshold ECDC for Bitcoin wallet. Okay. In this case, all the players have equal shares. So all you have seed. So you think that all the players are equal seeds. So in the real life, you may see that you have seed, okay, and you have seed, and you want to need backup for this one, and you have, let's say, 5 places. Okay, so but all may not be equally secure. So maybe your system is more secure, and your mobile is more secure. The online is less secure, and maybe you are giving to your wife, maybe less secure, or something like that. Maybe laptop more secure. So you may have more weightage for your system, mobile, and laptop. And other things you may give less secure. So basically, weighted one. Okay, so you may give the weightage for your system more, and for your mobile also more, and these online things you may be giving less weightage. Okay, so ultimately, let's say we have 7, let's say this is 10, and maybe 5 is required. Out of 10, 5 is required. So you may give 2 to this one, more secure, 2 to this one, 2 to this one, and this you can give maybe 3, 3, 2, and this is 1, 1, 10. So out of this you are giving more weightage this 3 times than these 2. So out of this one, if you give 5 shares, 3 and 2, then you can compute this. Okay, maybe these 2, 1, 2, and then you have this one. So then these 3 has to come 5. Okay, okay, or these 2, then it will be more than 6. That is also. Okay, so this is called weighted threshold. So on this one, we have worked on this. So one of my MS scholar, he did